GoKWIK is a 2.5-year-old tech company that is building full stack enablement solutions for the e-commerce industry and solving many of the key pain points of e-commerce. We were born in the middle of the pandemic and at the cusp of digital acceleration in the country. And we got on a mission to democratize the shopping experience in India and enabling growth for e-commerce brands. We were recently awarded the 100 most top companies to watch out for by Forbes Asia. One of the key pain points of RTO, one of the key pain points of e-commerce industry is RTO, or return to origin. And is it a necessary bane is what we're trying to explore here. COD accounts for about 50% of transactions in tier 1 cities, and it sharply rises to about 90% in tier 4 cities. 1 in 3 COD orders in India still remain undelivered. And as per our GOKWIK network data, brands lose up to 50 crores owing to RTO alone every year. The top 3 industries with highest RTO rate as per our network data are fashion, electronics, beauty, and personal care. RTO also has serious ramifications on the environment. E-commerce industry alone contributes to about 50% of India's carbon emission. Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, Bangalore, and Chennai, the CO2 emissions from last mile deliveries only in these 5 cities is actually greater than the CO2 emissions in France and Canada combined. But is it really a necessary devil for the e-commerce industry? We are trying to tame the devil with our robust RTO protection solution suite that we are trying to build based on deep data and tech models to reduce cancellations and return losses for the brands that we work with. So when we look at the e-commerce conversion funnel, checkout is the most critical bucket of all. There are multiple steps where you're starting from your login to your address pre-fill to your payment, where there are a lot of drop-offs that happen because of the experience that customers have at this point. Add to that the marketing dollars that brands are spending on getting the customer to this point, and then the intent dropping because of the cognitive load that is getting created for the customers. So looking at the problem statement, if there are 100 people that start checkout, only about 20 finally place the order. And out of these, at the payment stage, if there are 30 people at the payment stage, 40 to 50% of them result in impulsive buying, and about 50 to 90% of them actually are COD orders. As a result of which, the risk of an RTO starts going up right from the checkout stage and not only at the last mile delivery stage. So combined together, this can result into RTO, which can be as high as 30 to 40%. So unlike common belief or popular belief that RTO is a last mile delivery problem, is a logistics problem, it is actually also an intent problem, which also finally leads to GMV losses and obviously lower profit margins. Now let us look at some of the reasons apart from, say, impulsive buying, which is the bigger chunk of the reason why COD RTO happens. So at the pre-order stage, which is the checkout stage, you get a better deal elsewhere. The customer is flaky. Order placed by mistake. So it's so easy to place an order today on COD that it gets placed by mistake. Impulsive buying, like I already mentioned before, bad customer behavior, and when you don't see when the order will get delivered to you, you automatically don't want to place a prepaid order. At the post-order stage, it is also a communication problem between the customer and the brand, and customers not reachable on the phone or incorrect address details, customers not able to deliver at the location. In fact, there are certain fake orders that get placed and they have fake NDRs, those addresses don't exist, and delayed delivery. So one of the common reasons why, which is also connected to missing EDD is if the delivery is delayed and the customer has no idea, he tends to cancel it. And because he has no skin in the game, because it's a COD order, it's very easy for him to do that. So our AI-powered risk intelligence system, which is the backbone of the RTO API solution that we've created, is designed to reduce COD RTO rate, keeping the net conversion rate and GMV realization intact. So how does this work? How does the model work? So once we've implemented the RTO API, there's a host of data that starts coming into our API. It moves into the quick core part of the model where we start analyzing the data, and basis the past behavior based on machine learning and AI models that we've created, we start. Quick Predict is the place where the risk score starts getting calculated for the customers. So we compartmentalize these customers into high, medium, or low risk categories. And then finally, the output that comes as per the risk score that is calculated, on the basis of that, there are certain interventions that are put in place at the quick AI stage. And all of this is happening in real time. So when we look at the COD RTO solutions that are available with GoQuick, so we look at both pre-order and post-order. We've analyzed the problem statements at both of these stages, and we're trying to solve the RTO problem at both stages. So most commonly used solution that we have is the COD blocking. So what happens here is we analyze the data, like I said, and basis the past behavior of customers and the machine learning models that we've created, we filter out, and show COD only dynamically to certain customers. So for example, if there's a customer that is high risk, categorized as high risk, he will not see a COD option to pay at all, right? And we filter on the basis of UTM campaigns, bad pin codes, product SKUs, and many other parameters as well. Then there are certain less aggressive measures as well, especially if you've also on the same checkout as, if you've also taken the GoQuick checkout, you can also put in certain COD, friction on the COD payment mode by putting a prompt, by putting a CAPTCHA, so that COD payment or the checkout process for COD is not as seamless as prepaid. We also blacklist users basis the data available with us on the basis of the numbers, verification of numbers and addresses, etc. At the post-order stage, it is also, like I mentioned earlier, it is a lot to do with the communication, and that's why we've built a new product here, Quick Chat, which is powering the entire communication suite and trying to reduce RTO on last mile by prompting customers, talking to them, engaging with them, prompting them to convert COD to prepaid before the shipment goes out, real-time WhatsApp order updates, so they are informed at every stage whether the order is coming to them on time or not. We also take address updates, alternate phone numbers in case one phone number is not able to reach, and also we give the option to the customer to reschedule delivery, and all of this is happening through the communication suite. So what happens is, of course, we are working with 500 plus brands already, most of which are D2C brands, but also we are exploring our partnerships with marketplaces such as Lenskart, and we've been able to deliver a certain value delivery here with Lenskart. We've been working with them since April 2022. This is how the journey looks like. So we joined hands. We started working together from April 2022 last year. And at that point, Lenskart only had COD only on 5,000 pin codes and certain product SKUs. Over the course of half a year or more, we've been able to scale it up from 5,000 pin codes to about 26,000 pin codes and 80,000 product SKUs. That COD is now available for Lenskart. And along the way, we also did certain fraud detections, which were very, very important for their business, because we saved about 2.5 crore of fake orders. The loss that was happening because of the fake orders. So what was the problem statement? Like I mentioned earlier, India has a huge preference for cash payment, and as you go into the deeper pockets of India, the preference only goes up from 50 to 90%. And Lenskart problem with cash on delivery was that they had high RTO rates even on these 5,000 pin codes. And the losses due to RTO were actually multifold because it was not just the reverse logistics cost, but also they had certain customized products, which if returned would result in non-usage of the product completely, and that would lead to losses because of product inventory loss. And that is why they were afraid of opening pan-India COD serviceability, and that in a way also restricted their growth on COD, because if you don't give the customers what they want, it will also limit your growth to a large extent. The solution that we put in place was very strategically and customized for Lenskart. We implemented our AI/ML-backed RTO model. We started identifying the product IDs and PIN codes with the maximum RTO rate. We identified high-risk shoppers by raising red flags, and UTM-based backing to reduce the risk of fraud activities. Once that was done, we blocked low-intent shoppers from placing cash-on-delivery orders and then streamlined this data into sources to reduce human intervention. So earlier, while we were doing manual intervention of the fake orders, we also created a process to automate the same. And along this way, we figured that they could easily open their COD on more PIN codes. While we were working with them, we realized this and we pitched this idea to them, and they were convinced. And this is what we were able to deliver to them. So step by step, and this wasn't done in one go. Slowly through experiments, we figured, and analyzing the data, we went from increasing the serviceability of COD on tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cities accordingly. And in fact, tier 4, they were not at all, they were not servicing at all, and they started servicing through, with our intervention. And Lenskart could increase COD serviceability by 358% with GOKWIK'S RTO protection suite. This led to a 195% COD order growth and a 3x or 209% GMV growth for Lenskart. This is what Lenskart had to say about us. This is a published case study on our website. They couldn't make it here today, but we have a quote from them, which is also part of the published case study. And they recognize the efforts that were done here in the whole fake order, as well as improving their GMV by unlocking growth on COD serviceability across pan-India. And not only Lenskart, many other brands have also unlocked growth through this COD RTO intervention that we could provide to them, the protection that we've been able to provide to them. Boat has also seen a 11% month-on-month growth by increasing their COD serviceability pan-India. This is also a published case study on our website. And so did one of the shark brands, Snitch. They also contained RTO rate at 23%, and they were able to open serviceability across the nation by 66%. So yeah, that brings me to the end of my presentation. Any questions, please?
So I have one basic question.
Yes.
You said that you introduced friction on COD so that people would not find it very easy to do COD and move towards prepaid, correct? That was the direction?
So that's one of the solutions. That was not exactly what was done for Lenskart.
That's what I'm saying. Your results showed that COD shot up. So was the intent to increase COD participation, or was it to increase friction with COD and move to prepaid?
It was to increase COD serviceability across different PIN codes while keeping the RTO percentage intact. So we blocked certain bad PIN codes or bad behavior on those PIN codes, and still delivered growth by offering COD to the PIN codes or product SKUs that they did not offer earlier.
Okay, thanks.
This is Pankaj from Reliance Jio.
Hello.
Few questions. Firstly, the data on RTO that you showed, what is the source of the data when you mentioned fashion 40%, 35%? And are you talking return to origin, or are you talking also about customer returns? in that data?
No, I'm talking about RTO rates, and that data that you saw on the categories, that is from our GoQuick network data
Okay.
at a category level.
This seems to be very high. I mean, not
Correct.
generally what
Some
we
of
see.
them, so it can be skewed a little bit because some of the brands, because we also work with a lot of D2C brands, right? So it could be slightly skewed towards the higher end because, RTO could be higher in some places. But these are the top three categories. Even industry-wide, fashion, I think, has the highest RTO rate, even if you look at industry data.
Okay. I think you should check
Sure, I will do that.
accuracy of that data.
Sure.
And you have mainly talked about you increase the COD, serviceability, in the case study or even other presentation. Did you measure what is the impact on RTO on the pin codes which were already being served?
So yes, so for example, when we look at the RTO rate, when they started out with 5,000 pin codes, right? The RTO rate was around, if I remember correctly, 14 to about 16%, right? And when we took that up from 5,000 pin codes to 26,000 pin codes, we could, over a span of 6 months, it first shot up to about 19-20%, and then we were able to contain that again between the 14 to 17%, which was an agreeable number that we had agreed with Lenskart. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I got that. But there may be other variables which may be happening. What I'm saying, why not measure for the pin code, also measure for the same pin codes which were being served earlier, and if there is an impact, you should see a drop in RTO because of this, at least on those pin codes which were already being served.
Yeah.
Why not measure that as well? Wouldn't
We-
that be
we
a
were
better
measuring that.
differentiating measure?
So if you see between April and September 2022, this is exactly what we were doing. We did not increase the COD serviceability at that point from 5,000 to 26,000 pin codes. But we were trying to maintain or reduce the RTO rate on those pin codes, basis the UTM, blocking on the basis of UTM sources, on the basis of bad customer behavior, fake orders, all of those things.
And one last question, I am just curious because you mentioned it is one of the big drivers for RTO is the intent also, the impulse buying. But for the case study, you picked a category, generally prescription eyewear, the impulse buying is much, much lesser than any other category.
Agreed. So that was a number, I think, from a holistic point of view, because largely we cater to D2C brands, right? And Lenskart is only one of the marketplaces that we have been able to do this customized solutioning for them. Of course, their problem statements were very, very different from the rest of the problem statements that we usually encounter. Where, for D2C brands, impulse buying is the biggest pain point because, there is low brand trust, low brand equity, for the brand, low differentiation for a lot of these, new brands. And through online advertising, most of these, the sources of bad behavior, customer behavior or impulsive buying
But none
comes
of
from.
these are the problem with Lenskart or not to that extent.
Sure, sure. The problem statement for Lenskart was very different. I was just trying to give out a picture of, what are the different probable reasons why, it leads to COD RTO.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
One question from you. So, when you started increasing friction in COD, what is the dropouts? Did you see an impact on the dropouts, customer dropouts?
So we did not use that. That product feature wasn't part of this case study.
No, that's okay. But as a product, I'm sure you would be using that with some customer or the other. Have you
Yes.
seen some impact on that?
So we have just recently started, doing these features. They were in, experimentative mode. We have launched them, but we have not scaled it yet on most of the D2C brands as well. But we see, for example, with friction, we have been able to see somewhere around 2 to about 4% impact on RTO numbers for the brands that we have implemented this on. And the number is not very big as of today.
You're talking of RTO. I'm talking about dropouts.
Could you repeat your question, please?
So I wanted to understand the impact on dropouts. If you increase friction, customers are more likely to even leave their cart and move out, right?
So, yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, that we try to, when we try to reduce our the RTO rate for any brand, our end motive is not to reduce their, customer, the conversion rate. So we try to aim to keep the same conversion rate while the blocking or friction or whatever else that we are trying to solve for and reduce the RTO. So our models are constantly working to make that happen, right? So in some places, if for example, if the conversion rate gets a hit, then we automatically try to figure out how to improve that immediately, right? Not at the cost of RTO rate, going down and your conversion going down and your conversion rate actually becoming poorer is not what we thrive to achieve with our RTO protection.
And what's the kind of time you take to implement your entire suite of products?
So it depends again completely from the brand to brand, because these are all configurable features, right? So it is only in consultation with the brand that we agree that this is something that, as an intervention that they would want to do.
In your experience, what is the time you would have taken, the fastest you would have done this?
So not everybody is using all of the, so there are other problem statements like just increasing prepaid incentivizing prepaid reduces the RTO rate for some, right? So there are different multiple use cases. Not everybody uses all of these at the same time.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
This side.
Yes,
Yeah.
sorry.
Hi, I'm from Casio. So we are a D2C brand as well, right? So we anyways do this. We figure out which are the pin codes which are not working well for us, where the RTOs are high. So where do you come in and how do you improve this thing that we are already doing in-house, right? We are also blocking the pin codes where the RTOs are high, where the CODs are getting cancelled. And there's a lot of database that we have over the years, right, that we have and we have analyzed. So where do you come in?
So I think where we will come in is probably the data that we have, right? We almost have 90 million shopper data on our network. And the behavior that we see, the address pre-fill rate, all of those things, or verification, for example, whether it's a fraudulent customer or not, all of those things happen on this base of 90 million customers. And that is the advantage we can bring to D2C brands.
So I think one final question from my side is, at the end of the day, the fundamental point is to drive revenues, right? So what your solution is helping is identifying fraud cases, let's say. Yeah.
Not exactly.
So let me complete. So
Sure.
in a way that, okay, there are some certain defaulters across the ecosystem. So you kind of identify that, all right, let me not allow that individual to place a COD order. Either I blacklist them or I push those customers to go for prepaid. So that, of course, RTO and prepaid doesn't usually work together, which works great for the business. So, and you talk about the GMV growth in the Lenskart, where the use case is because you've been able to sideline some of those pin codes, which were usually concerns, and you opened up various other pin codes that helped you to drive that revenue growth, which came out of the incremental pin code serviceable, right? But I just wanted to understand, it's again, going back to one of my fellow peers here who talked about the churn. So all the customers who we lost because we thought that the chances of RTOs will be a lot higher, how many of that got converted into prepaid to drive that incremental revenue for the business? Because in this particular use case, what is happening is your gross sales is going down, but maybe your net sales is improving. But improving as a percentage to that gross sales. But I just want to know, has the net revenue really gone up because we've been able to push these customers from COD to prepaid?
Yes, that's exactly what has happened. It is not just that COD orders went up, but you lost out on prepaid orders. It's not exactly that. So the reason, and in fact, we didn't sideline certain pin codes. We sidelined the fraudulent customers or bad behaving customers to not place a COD order, right? But by opening COD to more pin codes, they were actually able to increase. I mean, when I say a 3x GMV growth is at an overall level. It is not just because COD went up, but prepaid was compromised, or because of the drop-offs that happened. For example, for blocking them, they lost out on the final net revenue. That is not how it is calculated. Hope I have answered. If not, I can we can always discuss it later. Thank you. Thank you.